You guys are benefiting greatly if you're in the chat because the radio is down right now, but we're good to go. We will soldier on and do the program as we're wont to do every day, including a Libations Friday. Tom is from afar. Man, a lot of right-hand turns, quick things happening right before the show, but we're good to go. You all right, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm hanging in. I'm looking at you. You look good in that side of the studio. How you doing?
Hey, you see that? You see what your boys got on here? Track Daddy?
You remember? Oh, man, look at that. Velvety smooth.
Kind of funny. The velour, everybody. Hold on now. There you go. Little. Whoa, what do we got going on here? Little velour action. I couldn't find it. By the way, you want to talk about panic, Tom. Yesterday, after I got home from doing the show, after we left the studio yesterday evening, I get into the house and I'm talking to my wife and I said, hey, the guys brought up today on the show that I haven't broke out the velour track suit in a while that I got. Do you know where it is? Because I had checked the closet. And she goes, no, remember you gave a bunch of stuff away. You had too much Florida State stuff and you gave stuff to people. And I do that because I have been in a nice position over the years to have access to cool things. And I have had a lot of different kinds of sweatshirts and T-shirts and whatever, jackets and you name it. And from baseball and football and basketball. And I did give a lot of stuff away a couple of years back. And then usually I go through them all and I kind of have a rule about it. And this is true in general. Like if you get a new shirt, can you get rid of a shirt that you had that you're not wearing? I try to do that. But I knew that there was no way that I would ever get rid of this badassness. Never. I mean, why would you ever? And so we had a moment of contentiousness, Tom, where I went, yeah, but I didn't get rid of the velour tracksuit. So have you seen it? And she goes, no, I think you probably got rid of it. I'm like, no, I know. I did not get rid of it. There is 0% chance that I got rid of the velour tracksuit. Now, you, on the other hand, may have boxed along with some other Florida State items, clothes that you thought I wasn't wearing anymore or didn't want, but I certainly did not. And she's like, well, don't know what to tell you. And to me, Tom, the problem with that answer is it's completely unacceptable. Don't know what to tell you isn't going to work. This was going to be an argument. But cooler heads prevailed, Tom. I did a search out in the garage of some boxed up stuff that I haven't worn in a long time, and it was in there.
Ooh, boy, that's a close one. You're giving me the heebie-jeebies. Even though I know how the story ends, I get the heebie-jeebies on that one because that is something you don't want to lose. And I got to commend you. The gold hat is the nice touch. That's how you compliment that suit. You don't go straight all the way black hat, black tracksuit. You got to have an accent. Well done on the hat.
Yeah, I had a black hat on earlier, and then I thought, it's too much. It's too much. I got to work in some gold because, you got the gold here. That's great. So you can't maybe tell that on TV, but it's gold. So now I've got gold down the side, gold here, gold on the hat to go with the garnet and the, there it is. It's beautiful. It is just gorgeous. And I'm reminded, more importantly, how freaking comfortable it is. Unbelievable. I'm going to start wearing this every day. Every day.
Now you just need to crash a bar or two around these parts, Corner Pocket, Gordo's, wherever, and say, hey, you owe me. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, here comes the man to collect.
I believe you took Miami in the points. This is a bad play.
Hey, what a game last night. How lucky were we? I loved that football game last night for a lot of reasons. We described the elements of what we wanted that game to be, Tom, and we got it. I mean, really, we got more than we asked for if you think about that game, because we wanted sort of a slobber knocker or something that resembled some old school football, line of scrimmage, big time hits, kind of, a penalty really puts you in a hole. You didn't feel like, either one of these offenses was going to be able to overcome 2nd and 15, 2nd and 20. We wanted something like that. Running backs, tight ends. wheeling runners at quarterback, that kind of stuff where you're like, all right, let's get into this kind of a man's game. And we got it for a half. And oddly, it was Penn State that was the much more physical team in the first half. And they were really doing kind of everything they wanted to do on the ground. You have that tight end who's a stud. You have the two-headed monster at running back. You have a quarterback you don't love, but, he's okay. So, kind of just let him manage the game, run the football. They kept getting the edge. And that was a sign that they were more physical and they were really assignment sound. But the mistake that they made is not getting a big enough lead and giving up that field goal at the end of the half. And all of a sudden, 10-3 is very doable. And then Notre Dame gets a stop, comes out and scores. And now we got a 10-10 game, and it's here we go. And then, obviously, you had to wait a little while. Meanwhile, people were bludgeoning each other. And then that crazy fourth quarter happens in which you get all the points, the bonanza of points. And then finally the mistake was made. And you knew one of those quarterbacks, they're both mistake prone. Both are, to me, substandard, at least for now. Aller may end up being very good. He had a much better year this year than last. But neither are lighting the world on fire as passers. And, Penn State couldn't even find a receiver. They literally did not target a wide receiver in the football game. And so Notre Dame was able to kind of flip the switch, played much more physical in the second half, made enough plays. It's not as if Riley didn't make mistakes. He did. Riley Leonard made mistakes of his own. It looked like it was going to cost them. In the end, the biggest mistake happened by the Penn State quarterback, which sets up Notre Dame for the field goal. And you get a classic ending to a really well-played and physical playoff game. And I don't think either one of those two teams are going to have a chance to win the game if it's against Ohio State. I'll tell you that. They might have a chance to beat Texas if Texas pulls off an upset over Ohio State, which is entirely possible. But I don't think either one of those two teams could beat Ohio State if that's who wins tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's so many moments that you look in retrospect and you go, oh, man, what a big moment that could have been. For example, on Penn State's first touchdown drive, Katron Allen gets the ball on a first down right at the edge of the red zone. Remember, he bobbles it. The exchange is clean. The handoff is good. And then out of nowhere, he bobbles it. Watching the Skycast and the tight copy, essentially, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown if he doesn't bobble it because Penn State had got the edge. Notre Dame's safeties were nowhere to be found. But because of that bobble, instead of a touchdown, it's a nice gain. But they end up kicking for 3 on that drive. You don't think that would come back at the end of the game when you're looking at all 22 and you're grading the film of your Penn State and you go, oh my God, that would have made a huge difference because 14-0 towards the end of the half would have felt a whole lot different than 10-0.
Big time.
Then, of course, the Angeli drive. That kid came in and he made some good plays after Leonard went into concussion protocol. He had an answer. There was quick game. He also made a couple of nice throws under duress. And then the one high snap cost him the sack fumble, but Notre Dame comes up with the ball in that situation, and that allows for them to kick the field goal, put it to 10-3. The other thing we said yesterday, I think I set the over-under 2.5 for big-time throws from Aller. I counted 1. And it was at 17-10. He hits Warren moving from right to left, and that's a great throw. You layer it in, and it's an explosive play. Other than that, you could argue his best throw was the underthrow that was called for a pass interference, which I know it's the letter of the law. The defensive back doesn't turn around number 8.
It's not interference. It's not interference.
You have to derive whether it's intended to be a back shoulder throw or an underthrow. I know it's very difficult to legislate. It's nearly impossible, but we all get the drill there. He didn't mean to throw the ball in that place. He meant to throw it back pylon. He had all day to make that throw, and it's an awful, awful underthrow. But then again, everybody's going to talk about his final pass attempt of the night. Well, the big interception. Leonard did throw a bad one himself in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Terrible interception.
I don't think, well, if you think back to there are probably, if we counted them, no fewer than 7 big-time plays missed by both quarterbacks combined. Maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Like, quarterback play left a lot to be desired last night. And you see what happens when you don't have plus quarterback play.
Yeah, even on some of the throws that Leonard hit, you drop it in stride and you might have a score instead of a gain of 20 or 25. And I know that could be nitpicky on an explosive play, but this wasn't, I'm under duress, I'm being hit as I throw. Like there are a couple of throws to the outside of the sidelines that Leonard hit more big-time throws than Allard did last night, which is not a good sign if you're Penn State. But he did. It's just that sometimes in a game like that, when you know that points are at a premium and you got to score when you hit the explosive play, because there's not going to be a whole lot of those opportunities in the game. It was a classic, though. The best part of that game last night was the toughness of the running backs on both sides. There was just so many broken tackles, so much effort. I mean, people are going to replay the clip of Love's touchdown for Notre Dame.
It's unbelievable. I love that. I'll watch that clip until I'm an old man.
It's amazing. But how about 10 for Penn State? The 2 touchdown runs he has, those are sheer will, the both of them. And then Warren getting the ball with direct snaps and stiff arming a guy to the ground. That guy's going to be. Yeah. That's going to be a great NFL player right there, man. A lot of fun to watch. Like this game, it had a lot of those elements, and it felt like it was over in the second quarter at 10-0. I thought it was, and then the next thing you know, you got a second half for the ages.
I will say that if we get anything close to that in terms of drama, how physical the game is played, the back and forth, the fight back from somebody who's down. I mean, Notre Dame. Listen, this season's a win for them no matter what happens. They wouldn't want to hear that. Notre Dame fans fancy themselves amongst that the program is amongst the elite, but it's really not. And now you've entered into another realm. Now you're playing for the national championship, and along the way, obviously you beat Georgia to boot. So this is a run for Notre Dame that kind of changes oddly. Now I understand what they are historically. And I know what they mean to the game of college football. And you could argue maybe there's not a program that means more to college football in its history. Perhaps. You could argue it, certainly. But the point I'm making is that they are legitimately now playing for a national title in the first ever college football playoff. Not only did they make buku bucks off of this as somebody who maintained their independence, but I think they changed the perception of what and who they are. Now, all of a sudden, you're almost welcoming Notre Dame back into big boy football again, whereas before they were sort of an afterthought of a nice team that occasionally had 10-win seasons, but was usually going to lose a game or two that would remove them from consideration, or at least serious consideration, of being a national championship contender. And it looked like they had done what they've always done, which is lose one of those games. And this one was in grand fashion at home to Northern Illinois, of all things, and it wasn't a fluke. They were outplayed. And so you thought in that moment, all right, well, you're capable of losing to Northern Illinois at home, and they weren't. It wasn't like they got lucky. They were better than you on that day. You're not a serious contender. And then look what they did the rest of the year and the way that they played and how hard they played for that coach. I like Coach Freeman a lot. He's a fun guy to listen to talk about the game of football and what he demands of those players. He's somehow made Notre Dame semi-likable. I know not everybody's going to say, yeah, I agree with that. That's fine. I just think he seems like a good guy, and those kids love him. And it's fun to watch how hard they play. I can tell when I watch them play, give credit to Penn State, lots of other teams, I can tell how jaded and cynical I became watching this version of this Florida State team from last year, because it just stands out to you. It really does, the amount of fight that some other teams had throughout the course of the year that we just simply did. Now, again, I hope they get that turned around, but I think I resented that more than anything, because every time you see somebody who's on the opposite end of the scale of that, where they're getting more out of what they've got because they tried that much harder and they are that physical and they're willing to lay it on the line and they're willing to sacrifice for the guy next to them. When you see that, it's a reminder that that's what's supposed to happen. It's a reminder, oh yeah, that's right. That's the way it's played when you're all together and in unison, and you work hard together and you agree, and like all of it, And so I tend to probably lend more credence to those two teams this year than I normally would, just because we didn't have anything close to it.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I would say about Notre Dame's path is, we were talking about how Penn State got a gift from the gods. You could argue that Notre Dame, if you're going to have a path, this isn't that bad. Indiana at home, And we all know that,
Yeah. That one was easy, but the Georgia win, where that was, come on now.
It's their backup quarterback. You had a turnover deep in their territory, plus a kick return for a touchdown. You won situations. You did your job.
Talking about how they won. Just the fact that they did.
Yes. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
They beat a bigger name brand than Penn State did, but I mean that's a name brand that could have and probably should have lost to Georgia Tech this year. So it's not Georgia from 3 years ago. But here's the thing: it doesn't matter. Fake it till you make it. And that team maximizes what they are. That's why it's easy to watch them. That's why it's easy to root for them. They're not that great, but this is a season where there aren't that many great teams, if any. Ohio State's trying to change that right here, right now, and they could do it again tonight and fortify that difference. Is they're the one, and everybody else is playing for second place. But that's why Notre Dame is fun to root for, at least if you don't think about who they are and the dump of the town that they play in, because they maximize what they are. And now you're right. This is reputation changing. This legitimizes you with 5 stars, high-level 4 stars that are only thinking about playing in the South, or only thinking about playing at Ohio State and Michigan. And now they're going to think twice. But, well, what if I go play for Coach Freeman at South Bend? That group looks like they're having a whole lot of fun. And that's how this thing changes. That's how you go from Brian Kelly's reputation to your own reputation, because you have gone places that Brian Kelly has not before, not with wins in the playoff, not with wins of this magnitude.
Yeah. Brian Kelly had success at Notre Dame, but this translates into something much different in perception. I would also say, in a weird way, Brian Kelly kind of takes a hit because Freeman has just taken them to the national championship game, while he has not struggled, but hasn't exactly soared to great heights at LSU.
If you wake up this morning as an LSU fan and you didn't watch the game and you see the score, you go, okay, all right.
I agree. Yeah, I think you do as well. All right, so weird situation. I'll fire to break. There is no break. Tom's going to dazzle you with commercials and promos and the like for a few minutes. If the radio comes back, we will be on time because we're breaking as if it will. They're working on it right now. It's radio nonsense. But Chef Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Here with your NHL standings update. Just kidding.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
As I want to do, I look out for your comfort, everybody. You know that, and I've told you for weeks that the cure to what ails you is over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT, of course. But you need the salve so the boys are comfortable. Listen, being comfortable is a year-round endeavor. It's not just when it's hot outside. It's not just when there's the potential for rash or chafing, as they like to say. No, it's year-round. Get you the underwear. Get you the salve. Get you the balm. Get you the cream. Get you the nose hair clippers. Get you everything you need to trim and keep proper. There's the crop preserver. There's the stuff that helps you out with every part of your body, not just down there. Go to manscaped.com right now, and if you use the promo code WARCHANT, you'll get 20% off. You really can't beat that. I'm saving you a ton of money. Promo code is WARCHANT for 20% off. Plus, by the way, fellas, free shipping to boot. So there's no reason not to go and check it out and find out how it is that you can look right and feel great year-round, no matter what. Every day you leave that house, you say, I'm buttoned up. The boys are comfortable. I'm ready to go. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT, 20% off plus free shipping. Can't beat it.
of the Warchant.com multimedia network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
It occurs to me, Tom, we could do anything we wanted right now. I could have all kinds of sound clips running during the break. We could have old audio from the show. Whatever we want. I have to run the commercial spots for those wondering why we have 4 minutes there. That's we're running it as if we're actually on the radio, even though we're not, because at any moment the radio feed could come back and we have to be current on the log. So that's if that makes sense to you.
So you're saying I should get all my F-bombs in right now and just risk it. Let's go.
Yeah,
Russian,
you can
Russian
say anything you
roulette.
want.
Yeah, yeah.
RS in the jackpot now. Okay?
You could do whatever you wanted.
Stick him in your mouth and suck him.
Just keep going. We can go on and on and on.
Well, I know that. They bring the income.
Florida man in Alabama, that is true. I could even have some inappropriate video playing behind me.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Like Drexel in True Romance. I could, for those that remember the movie and the greatness that is True Romance. I would also point out that we get another great game. We also get, and this is the start of something I said it a moment ago when we started the show. I loved it the way it was isolated last night. Same goes for tonight. And then remember, you get Saturday how perfect this is. You get the playoff games, the 2 games, and then you get Sunday's playoff games. And then you're back into it on Monday, Tom. You get the Monday playoff game. And it's just a stretch of 5 days where you can hyper-focus on big games that have major consequences. You're not distracted by a million other things. Florida State does play basketball on the road at the Little John, and that will be on Saturday as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. I'd like to speak up because we could win a big one on the road, a quality win on the road.
That is one of the great sound clips I remember us laughing about that. He was fighting it. Gene, if you're listening, who I saw day before yesterday, Mr. Deckerhoff, doing well, looking good, Gene, if you're listening. He does listen quite a bit. He'll occasionally text me and say something like, well, I think you're wrong about this. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Well, I think you're going to call a great game on Sunday there, Gene. There you go. He's got a home game to call, buddy, down in Tampa, Sunday night.
Yours truly will be at said playoff game Sunday night.
All right.
In attendance for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rulers of the NFC South. Back-to-back playoff appearances for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hoping to get another win in the playoffs, of which only one team has more this decade. Only one. That would be the Chiefs. In a weird way, that's mitigated because we also beat them in the Super Bowl. So I would just tell you that I'm excited about it. I haven't been to a Bucs playoff game in a while. Lord knows I could have been, though. We're in them all the time.
Well, I would say when we're done with this Super Bowl run, if we, once we go the distance here over the next month, we win the whole thing, we're in the running for team of the decade. But now it's a 2-horse race at that point.
If we win the Super Bowl this time, right?
That's right.
Well, somebody has asked for it, but I'd have to find it. And Tom would have to tell me where to type it into to find it, because I would like to find it. There's nothing better than the clip of Magic Johnson. So supposed.
Man, I had one of those myself on the air last week where I pulled, a Magic Johnson stutterfest. But yes, do you see that map over there? No.
So let's start with the NFL really quickly. I will just say this, Tom, I don't know, like yesterday I failed to make my Redemption Thursday picks. You taking any road teams in the playoffs this weekend? You got any road teams this weekend?
You would start with the first game, and you'd say the Chargers are live to be a road victor.
Yeah, so the answer to my question is yes for me. I am taking the Chargers, in fact, to beat Houston.
Yeah, the last game, Minnesota, and it's now in a neutral site. It's being played in Arizona, but Minnesota at the Rams, technically. I think Minnesota's in play. Look, Washington's in play. down in Tampa. I'm not saying I'm picking them, but that wouldn't be a stunner if Washington
Not at all.
beat us.
Yeah, I think it's in play, and I didn't count the Minnesota-Los Angeles game because it's a neutral site game, and it's what it is. But I get what you're saying. No, I just think for the weekend, starting with tomorrow's games, the Chargers have your best opportunity. Hell, the Chargers are favored to win on the road, and a lot of times you go through the playoffs and you measure these teams for what they did in the regular season and how they're built for the postseason. And so you say, okay, well, does this translate? Does this work? Does this no longer matter? Or does this really matter? And the other thing you do is you go back and look at teams that had winning records against teams that are playoff teams now, that have been solidified as playoff teams. So, for example, our Bucks, Tom, have a winning record against the playoff teams that they faced. In fact, one of the things that I would say about the Bucks is that it's kind of misleading because they're only 4-3 against playoff teams. They're 4-3. They lost an overtime game in Kansas City, right? They have beaten Washington. They beat Detroit at Detroit, which is very, very impressive. Obviously, they got drilled by the Ravens in a game where we end up losing Godwin, and we're playing guys late trying to make that comeback, even though it didn't really feel like it was going to be a comeback. Kind of frustrating there. But anyhow, the Bucks are 4-3 against playoff teams. But they're a different kind of 4-3 in that they've beaten the best teams in the league, and took another one to overtime. Whereas like the Steelers are 4-3 against playoff teams, except for they were also 4-0 at one time against playoff teams, and they've lost 3 straight. And in fact, in their losing streak, the Steelers have kind of revealed to you here that they're in trouble. They're averaging 14 points a game during their losing streak. They've struggled to score against Baltimore, even in the game they won. And the other thing, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, this is the time of year, man. This is Derrick Henry. This is what he was brought in to do. In his last 3 games, he's had 71 carries, and he's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. They're going to ride his ass into a deep run in the playoffs because, look, again, Lamar is great, but this is what's been missing. When teams take things away, do you have somebody that makes them play you honest? Do you have somebody that can do damage and not have Lamar have to carry the burden of running the football? The Steelers have done a very good job in Lamar's career of stopping him from running the football, at least against them. And what you would worry about normally in a game like that, Tom, Zay Flowers is out for Baltimore. That is a big absence. And so you would feel like your quarterback would probably try to put more on his back than he should. He's under immense pressure. He's 3-5 in his career against the Steelers, is Lamar Jackson. Steelers really have had his number. He's never had a rushing touchdown against the Steelers.
Yeah, and he fumbles once a game, minimum, against the Steelers. They get to him and they jar the ball loose. That's also kind of a weird stat. But to me, the stat that I want to see once the game is over is first down pass percentage from Pittsburgh. Arthur Smith has to stop it. You got to stop the nonsense of running the ball always on first down. George Pickens' targets have to go up. Baltimore's biggest weakness is their pass defense. Now, I get that they can shade their stud safety over towards George Pickens, but you've got to be able to throw the ball on first down. You have to. And this whole first and 10, second and 8, third and 6 thing that they're doing is driving everybody nuts. Pickens is maybe going to leave Pittsburgh. There are rumors that is happening because he's a malcontent now. But you got to get the pass game going. That's the only way you beat Baltimore is you've got to outscore them by throwing the ball down the football field. They're not great in pass coverage. So that's the thing from Pittsburgh's perspective. And then for Baltimore, I mean, Lamar's been otherworldly this year, 40-4 touchdown interception ratio. All of his numbers are great. It's just a question of between the ears. They still have Rashad Bateman. They could go double tights if they want to run Andrews and Likely at you. That's not a bad way to go. They've got plenty of weapons. It's just a matter of him not turning the ball over, I think.
Zay Flowers was the motion guy that created the mismatches, which allowed for a lot of things. So this is going to be interesting. They will go, because of that absence, without question, to these tight ends. They've got 2 elite tight ends. They got one of the great tight ends, who I gave up on 5 games into the season because I drafted him in fantasy, and he was a bum coming off of an injury, doing nothing for the first 4 to 5 weeks. And then he decided, I'm okay now, and lit it up and became one of the most productive tight ends in the league again. Anyhow, between those 2 tight ends, they'll see 20 passes. I mean, they're going to go to them a lot, and it would be smart to do it. The only thing I would say about the Ravens is they really did a good job of fixing a big part of their problem in the first half of the season, which was, you are correct, that secondary.
Yep.
But once they moved Hamilton to center field and said, no, you peruse and get everybody organized. We were trying to do too much with you. Be who you are and dominate. He has.
The other thing I'd say for tomorrow's games in the first game, just be alert. You know, the Chargers' run defense is the second worst in the playoff field, and they're just barely worse than Washington.
Here's your problem. I'm with you, brother, but Joe Mixon's been awful the last 4 games. He's done nothing. A lot of people think he's hurt. This is weird. Like, that would be a problem if they got a healthy version of him, but I don't think he's healthy. I think something's wrong.
It's a chin check in the beginning. I hear you on that, but it's a chin check because, see, look, if you do get a good and 90% Mixon, now the next thing you know, they have a couple of drives that go 6 plays, 8 plays, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And whoa, what do we have here? And when the Chargers spiral, we saw this when we traveled out there. When they spiral, they start to ease up on the tackling. They start to ease up on the angles they take. I don't know. That game is usually a total snooze fest. The Houston Texans time slot on Saturday afternoon. That one's got enough juice for me to tune in.
Texans have had a problem, man. By the way, the Texans this year are 1-5 against playoff teams. They've been awful against teams that are any good. And you know, you would certainly say that CJ took a huge step back this year compared to what he was his rookie season, which, quite frankly, statistically is one of the great rookie seasons ever. And we were all in shock looking at those numbers and how well he played. This is the beauty of the NFL. It's a little bit like watching, and work with me here, Major League Baseball. A good young hitter comes into the league, doesn't seem to have holes in his swing, is driving the ball to all fields. They can't get him out. We get to the halfway point. Dude's hitting 337 as a rookie with 18 bombs and 56 RBIs, and you're going, is this dude going to hit 35, 40 home runs his rookie season and hit over 300 and driving 100 and whatever? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, so-and-so's really mired in a terrible slump to start the second half. 1 for his last 25. It's a ruthless league that studies film tirelessly when it gets a chance. C.J. Stroud, no doubt, had them really flummoxed, defenses that is, as to what to do, coordinators as to what to do with him, because he's got a cannon for an arm, he's filled with great confidence, he processes quickly, he's very, very mobile, all of those things. But then you have a couple of injuries, and you get a defensive coordinator who in the offseason goes, Eureka! He really struggles when we get pressure up the gut at his feet. Look at his completion percentage when we blitz in the A-gap. Look what we get here. Look what we get. And all of a sudden, that's on display the first time they meet the next season. The kryptonite is now on film. And the rest of the league takes notice and says, hey, they're on to something, whoever that was. And the next thing you know, it becomes a repeatable issue. And then it's on him to do what the hitter has to do in baseball, which is study film yourself and say, how are they getting me out? What are they doing? What did they figure out? I got a hole inside or outside, whatever it might be. It's so cool to watch because in the NFL, it's your job. You do it all day, every day. It's not college football practice. It's pro football practice. And I can go to camp and I could study film for 24 hours straight if I want. And the defense coordinator could come in and go, here's what we're going to do. And we're going to work on it every day this week, specific to where we want him to go, where we want him to be when he throws the football on the move. He can never be going this way. He always has to be going this way. And if we make him do that, I'll take my chances. They don't really, it's hard to do that in college football, but they do it in pro football.
Yeah, well, a great example of what you're talking about, single game installation and success just happened in the game for the NFC North and the number 1 seed in the NFC between Detroit and Minnesota. What about Detroit's resume and their health tells you that that's the defensive effort that they're going to put together? You know, I get it. Red zone inefficiencies help contribute to the total score and the final number that you see. But if you watch that drive for drive, you would see that Sam Darnold was confused. His confidence was shaken. The offensive line was also giving up pressures left and right, even when there were even numbers or less than even numbers, because they were confused by the wrinkles that were being thrown their way. These are pros. These guys have seen basically every trick in the book, and yet they were confused. And that's a Detroit defense that totally outperformed expectations because of what you're talking about, which is film study out the wazoo, and then that might not mean anything the next time Detroit takes the field. When they play in the playoffs, they might give up 30. But for that one game, that coordinator got to work. The players heard the keys. They internalized the message, and bam, you got yourself a blowout victory thanks to the defense, because it took Detroit's offense a little while to get going.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn probably just made himself even more money than he was already going to make. If you're a Lions fan, nobody goes into these playoffs under more pressure. Maybe Lamar, but probably not. I would say nobody's under more pressure in these playoffs than the Lions, because you've done everything now, right? You've won the division back-to-back. You've proven that you belong, that you're an elite team. You've done, at one point, if you looked at their margin of victory, when you and I always looked at plus-minus, I mean, they were setting records. There's nothing left to do but go win it all. They're that kind of good. They have that kind of talent on offense. Now, they're riddled with injury, obviously, and so you wonder, does that ultimately undo this terrific run and amazing season? It seems to be a fair point to make. But once you've achieved a level of success that now the next logical step is to win a championship, that's tough. That is a pressure cooker now, because the road goes through you. You're going to host every game. You're hosting every game.
What's the game that you care the least about on the slate this weekend? NFL only.
That I care the least about?
Mm-hmm. Or at least interested by. Maybe word it that way.
I'm least interested by what I think is going to be a blowout. I think Baltimore's going to kill Pittsburgh, and that's nuts for me to say, because Pittsburgh plays Baltimore well. But I think Baltimore's different this time around. Now, maybe I'm a sucker. Both Saturday games don't exactly thrill me. I mean, the Chargers in Houston is probably the right answer.
Okay. I hear you. There are logical reasons that Chargers-Houston would be the answer. For me,
Houston hasn't played well, and I don't take the Chargers seriously as a contender, so it's sort of like,
It's Green Bay and Philly. I don't feel it. I know that Jalen Hurts got cleared a few hours ago from concussion protocol, and that should be a physical game, because Green Bay is going to run Jacobs like crazy, and Philly's going to run Barkley like crazy, and Hurts is a physical runner. It should have the appeal. I'm more interested in Broncos-Bills because of the Broncos defense. I'm more interested in Ravens-Steelers because it is also a third matchup, and that can get weird results too, because you're seeing each other for the third time in one season. It's just that particular game, Green Bay and Philly. Now watch it be the classic that goes to overtime, but as we sit here today, that's the one I'm like, I don't know.
They played in week one. And I would say that the Green Bay team, oddly, is really, really beat up in this situation. I should say oddly. They played their starters, and they paid a dear price for doing so. Jordan Love's elbow is kind of important here. 2 days ago, he said he couldn't feel when he tried to throw. Let's see how healthy he is. That can't be good. I'm sure that's going to be lovely weather in Philadelphia for this game. I like this Philadelphia team. I think they're built for this time of year. I say I like them, not personally. I don't like them. I want the Bucs to play Philly and beat Philly whenever that happens again, if it happens again. But I like the way they're built. And if they don't hate each other, which sometimes they do, but if they don't hate each other, I think they're built for the postseason. I think, they can grind it out. The quarterback, if he runs the ball 12 to 15 times, is a game changer. Now, he's going to have to make some throws. He's certainly shown in times that he's absolutely capable. But he's also shown at times that he can't hit wide open people to keep drives alive. So you never kind of know what you're going to get with that dude. That's it. It's fun. It's fun. I love postseason. I love this weekend in particular. All of these games. It's just a sit back, get you some wings and some cold ones and some buddies, and watch some of these big games. It's a good time. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
one of the good things about actually eating Factor at my house, the Cameron household, me, my kids, my wife, we order Factor long before they ever came on here to be a sponsor of the pod or the show. But I was reading the copy, and they say to you, it's just a suggestion. You can look at it a lot of different ways. But this one leads with weather pairs perfectly with savory fall foods. And I thought that's true. It does. It's not what I'm going to talk about, but that's a great comforting way to think about Factor. It's beautiful. Here's the other thing to think about Factor is that the food is delicious, prepared by chefs, and it's healthy, and it comes right to your doorstep, and you're busy. You don't have time to cook all these different delicious meals. Either do I. That's why I get 12 of them shipped to my house. Now, you can have more than that. I do 12. Brought to your doorstep, pulled from the box that they come in, frozen ice. You put that sucker right, frozen ice, listen to me. Put them in the fridge, you're good to go. Kids just pull them out. 2 minutes later, you're eating a delicious meal. And it's any kind of diet, too. It could be keto, it could be just calorie-friendly, whatever it might be. You could be a vegetarian, pescatarian, doesn't really matter. Factor has delicious meals for you and yours, no matter the lifestyle or the food choices. Head to factormeals.com/Cameron50. Use code Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Cameron50 at factormeals.com/Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Now back to Jeff. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV on a Libations Friday. How you guys doing? Everybody good? Everybody good? Good. It's just you and me. It's just the chat room right now. It's just all of us hanging out. Tommy's here too. Mom will be here in the second hour. We're sending her a link. We will still get those picks in. And it seems to me I got to have a huge weekend, but I don't think that I can because I can't imagine we're going to be very different in the picks for this week. I agree, by the way, Tom, the game that seems to me on the surface to be the most exciting is actually our game. I mean, don't you think? I think the Washington-Tampa Bay is the one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. 100% it is. There's a lot of variance of what can happen. Tampa lays eggs at times. Tampa is unstoppable offensively at times. One of those moments where Tampa could not be stopped was week 1 against Washington and Washington's secondary. But Daniels has gotten better and better as the season has gone along. You look at the effort he put together against Atlanta, where he ran for nearly 100 yards in that game, and then he threw for all those touchdowns. Against the Bucs secondary that has only gotten more banged up as the season has gone along, that has the opportunity, if you're looking for any game this weekend, to go 38-35. That's the one that has the biggest chance to go 38-35.
Let's have some fun and do a red zone before we forget. I can never forget my man Adam Tolliver and his friends. Artisan Financial Strategies, good people doing good work and good deeds for you as you set up your retirement so that you can know, hey, man, I got people with 30-plus years of planning experience, world-class resources working hard for me. If you need to know more, go to NoelRetirement.com. That's NoelRetirement.com. Fire it up, Tommy.
Welcome to the majesty.
Every freaking rep.
The elegance.
To win the game. Oh, he hits the upright. It's no good.
You have entered.
Someone burned down the funeral home. You burnt the funeral home.
Lives will be changed.
Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
mothers will cry.
When you see your players give all that they have and you lose that way, it's tough.
Legacies are etched into eternity.
I know who I am.
North, South Dakota was his brother from West Virginia.
This is the Red Zone.
That's good to know.
Oh, Jimbo, you're a peach. All right, good sir. It is Red Zone, Artisan Financial Strategies, our fellow Noah Adam Tolliver and his group. Sponsoring, of course, as they do every week, and we appreciate them very, very much. Off of the cap to you, Adam. Thank you. Talk to me, baby. First down.
First down. Number one item left on your personal offseason grocery list for the transfer portal is at what position for Florida State?
Defensive line. I want another defensive tackle. I want another monster. I want a quantifiable, this guy's done it in a big league football player in the trenches. Yeah, I would say that. I'm all right with the 4 linemen they've brought in. I feel like you're going to get slightly more, certainly, than a modicum of success and uptick in play there. I feel already pretty good about, what we did bringing in Deuce Robinson. I feel good about that a lot. I like the tight end group. Feel like we're set at running back. Defensively, I already like the secondary. We've done a very good job with the linebackers we brought in. Listen, it's a work in progress. They're not going to be a juggernaut. We're not going to go from 2-10 to roll out there to 12-0 or something like that. But I think we're going to be appreciably better. But I do worry about us being able to hold up without enough depth on the defensive line right now. So that's an area I'd like to see improved.
For me, it's safety. I don't trust any of these guys. Not yet. Some it's lack of experience. Some I just don't know. I'm glad that Earl Little wants to get downhill and hit you. That's about the only thing I know about what this group currently that they have on the roster can do. I'm glad that Evan Cooper is in there now to take a look at that specific position, put his eyes on it. Maybe you can make a move after spring if he doesn't like what he sees and he can give you an honest assessment. But, I mean, whether it's Hussey or Shaheem Brown or Kirkland or Little, there's some other guys that might be in that mix. I don't know, man. Does that feel as inspiring as the defensive front as it's currently constructed or the linebacker groups? You got to have that. You got to have a guy who comes down and enforces.
I don't disagree. I'm just counting on these coaches to get the most out of a group that is talented. They just didn't always have it on display. Second down.
Rushing offense or rushing defense? What's going to be better this year?
Rushing offense. I mean, they're going to run the hell out of the ball. We just picked up 27 on that one, Tom. Third down.
All right. Well, just we've counted a lot of years, but the rushing offense is going to be good. So I'm checking.
No. He's done it with like poor talent around him in the past. No, they're going to run the ball. Third down.
All right. So third down, more rushing yards this weekend. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels.
Oh, that's a good one, but it's going to be Jaden Daniels because I have a sense that we'll do what we always do, which is try to bring pressure because we don't trust our back end, and he'll run wild. I'm with you. I think it's a very winnable game for Washington. I love my Bucks, and I'm going to be in attendance, and I hope they pull it out. But if they do, it's going to be a wild shootout, and they'll give up plenty of rushing yards to Jaden Daniels, who's a real talent and is finally getting healthy again. Fourth down.
McLaurin, Evans, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua. Give me two of that group that you would play this weekend in your own lineup.
Evans for sure. That's going to be a big. That's tough. Evans for sure, and then I cannot in any game. I can't not play Jefferson. So I'm going to fall back on the talent that is Jefferson.
So one thing, just a little fantasy note. Somebody might have done a redraft for his own playoffs this weekend. Minnesota is the most generous in terms of giving up fantasy points to number one receivers in the league.
That's what you're going to go with then, yeah?
Keep an eye on that.
It's just hard to turn away from Jefferson, who's so talented. It's like, he could fall out of bed and have 100 yards unless he's playing Detroit last week. That is the Red Zone. Thanks to our friends at Artisan Financial Strategies. They're great, good, honest, hardworking, intelligent people who are going to work hard on your behalf. And it's just a nice added benefit that they're Knowles. That was Red Zone, hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
As I want to do, I look out for your comfort, everybody. You know that, and I've told you for weeks that the cure to what ails you is over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code Warchant, of course. But you need the salve so the boys are comfortable. Listen, being comfortable is a year-round endeavor. It's not just when it's hot outside. It's not just when there's the potential for rash or chafing, as they like to say. No, it's year-round. Get you the underwear. Get you the salve, get you the balm, get you the cream, get you the nose hair clippers, get you everything you need to trim and keep proper. There's the crop preserver. There's the stuff that helps you out with every part of your body, not just down there. Go to manscaped.com right now. And if you use the promo code WARCHANT, you'll get 20% off. You really can't beat that. I'm saving you a ton of money. Promo code is WARCHANT for 20% off. Plus, by the way, fellas, free shipping to boot. So there's no reason not to go and check it out and find out how it is that you can look right and feel great year-round, no matter what. Every day you leave that house, you say, I'm buttoned up. The boys are comfortable. I'm ready to go. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT, 20% off plus free shipping. Can't beat it.
The idea of Cam Davis and Mekhi Danzy to go along with the freshmen, to go along with Roydell Williams, and a running quarterback that if he looks like he did 2 years ago, that might be an extra 800 yards running. You don't need, in this offense, you don't need an incredible, unbelievable running back, and I also don't think this kid is that. I think he's good. I think he might be better than anybody you have on the roster. But is it worth overspending for him when you're pretty good at running back anyway, perhaps? And I think personally, I think you've got to save that money if you're willing to spend big money on one more player, defensive line. And I would not forego an addition on the defensive line, a big boy addition on the defensive line for your fifth running back in your fifth or sixth scholarship running back. As good as he might be, I just have enough confidence in that offense that it's going to produce holes in yards running the ball, almost no matter who's back there. Obviously, the better running back, if you have a special running back, that makes everything better. But for what we know, the Lee County kid might be a special running back. Feel like they spent some money on him, so he needs to be.
Beat Georgia for him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you all can do the math there. They really believe in him. Let's see what he is. And, again, this would have been a nice want, but it wasn't a need. You didn't need a fifth running back. Even if he would have been your starter, I don't know the wins above replacement for Faison versus the guys you have on the roster. I do know you get an all-conference caliber defensive lineman. You're talking about a difference, I think, of like legitimate, tangible differences in wins. So that's what I'm saying. I hope the calculus there was, okay, we could make it where this kid doesn't leave Tallahassee. We could outbid so-and-so and so-and-so and get him. But then our coffers might be empty when a defensive lineman becomes available, and we've got to be smart about how we spend the rest of our budget. And I just think the offense, the running game with Malzahn, with Hand, with the running backs you have on campus should be good enough. It should be at least be competent. Your defensive line, I still think, needs an upgrade. That's just me talking, though.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, thanks for being here as always. Appreciate you very, very much. Tom, I was just thinking about it. That's the Colt, of course. And I'm actually underneath the pimp suit today, rocking the Colt shirt. The black there, and that's sweet. It's a nice one. Anyhow, but I was thinking the other day when you and I were on the golf course at Capital City, and the guy was rocking the Colt.
He was. Yeah, we were on 5 and they were on 14, I think. That little area where the tee boxes are next to the green. And I thought I heard it because it's so far away. All you're hearing is, the drums, or you hear the bass line or whatever it was, just a low hum. Is that the Colt? No way.
Yeah, I was proud of him.
I think you made a par. I think you were standing over your par putt as that was playing.
I did. I made a few putts the other day. Felt good. Yes, Florida man in Alabama. I am replete with the pimp suit. There it is, gang. All pimped out. Look at it. This is the side here because you get where is it? There it is. Yeah. There's the FSU. That's sweet. Oh, I have to do the old man thing when I sit down. It's a law when you're past 50. I did see that, JB. Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles again. Cleveland's like, yeah. All right. Cleveland was like, Little John, yeah. They were happier than hell. They hope that during the third rehab for this injury, it pops again. They can medical DQ, get the hell up out of here and move it along.
They can medical DQ, but they still owe him the money that they owe him. That's the hard
part. They owe him some, but they don't owe them all. It works different with injury.
They did put in their team statement that he rolled his ankle in Miami. I just wonder if that is laying groundwork for if he was not doing rehab, that they've got a reason to contest the contract. But the official team statement did say that he rolled his ankle in Miami. So just keeping notes on that.
Well, they're trying not to have to pay the whole thing, and who knows. But, yeah, I will say this. If he wasn't such a scumbag and hadn't been accused by like 156 women at these massage parlors, which leads me to believe there's some truth along with the millions he paid out. But I would say to you, Tom, that even Deshaun would maybe elicit some sympathy to have ruptured his Achilles again during rehab for a ruptured Achilles. The second ripping of the Achilles, that's a tough one to overcome. That's a toughie. Not sure that we're ever going to see the gliding through the air Deshaun Watson again, because, man, and I don't know if you've ever seen a video or been watching when somebody does have their Achilles ripped or popped, but it makes a very distinct sound. And the most amazing thing about it is that usually, unfortunately, and any of you out there who've had your Achilles ripped, you'll know this. I would say that the most common reaction is that you think somebody hit you, that somebody hit you from behind, that somebody's like hit you with a bat to your Achilles. I've seen, and it's crazy, and I've talked to people who've ruptured their Achilles, and they all seem to have the same reaction. It's usually they turn around and look back to see, like, who did that? Because it makes such a loud sound. Now imagine it's happened twice to you. Whoo! Oh, there you go. Seth has. He agrees with me on the character part of it, but as someone who has torn their Achilles, that's a tough recovery mentally. Rupturing it again, especially during rehab, would take a toll on the spirit. Yeah, one might say it's karma. I don't know. Listen, it happened. There you go. It happened. That's got to suck. You do have to wonder, not that I care whether he does, but Cleveland as an organization has to figure something out. And, my guess is he'll never play football again.
That's the hope for, I think, a lot of Cleveland Browns fans, that they can move on to a different part of their franchise existence. I think a lot of teams, they look, if they're devoid of a quarterback, and maybe they've got a bad deal that they cut, like Cleveland, one of the worst trades of all time, NFL history, and then the contract to go with it, because Watson was named and made the highest paid quarterback in NFL history on the heels of that trade. They look at Atlanta and they see money being dumped to Kirk Cousins, and then there's Michael Penix, and they say, we're just one draft pick away. We're just one draft pick away, because rookies are cheap enough now that you can still have a bad contract on the books, but if you land the rookie, he's inexpensive enough that you can win games immediately with that guy.
No, Dad, they can't. They would have already tried to do so. He settled many of those suits and pled. And if they were going to do anything with him, they would have done it then. This is post that. I don't believe. I mean, there is another accuser that came forward, but I don't know. I think that might be a civil case, another civil case, and not a criminal case. So no, they're stuck on the hook, and that's why, honestly, when it happened, when the 26th or 27th woman came forward, and I'm not being facetious, I think that was the right number. It was either number 26 or number 27, whichever woman it was. When the latest one came forward accusing him, this one was a much more serious accusation. This one was not of, I got to be sensitive here, but he was exposing himself at these massage parlors, were the other accusations. This accusation was downright rape is what she was saying he was guilty of. Now we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if anything is happening with that. I don't know if it's factual or not. All I know is that's what was her accusation. And I said on the air, and I know it's callous, and I know it can come across as outright crude, but I said Cleveland, in a weird way, if they were being honest, certainly doesn't support rape. Nobody does. No reasonable human being does. But if it were to be true, they could have gotten out from under that contract, and they'd like that to be the case. So on the one hand, you wouldn't root for a rape to have occurred. On the other hand, if you're Cleveland, stuck to the tune of how many hundreds of millions, you might go, well, I mean, it's a shame it happened, but this is the impetus we need to get out from under the contract. There's no nice way to talk about it. There's not a good way to talk about it, but I'm right. I'm not wrong on this. That's exactly what they'd say. Hey, I hope he didn't, but if he did, this is what we're going to do. It's as simple as that.
That is correct. And unfortunately, it looks like these things may have happened. And oddly enough, they're still on the hook. So good.
Yeah, but
they knew what they were getting themselves into. I don't cry for Cleveland. I'm happy this is happening. I'm happy this is happening to them.
What my point is, I'm just talking about it from a logistical standpoint. I don't care. No heartstrings, no vendettas, nothing. I'm just saying, here's what they can and can't do. Remember with the Tua situation? The Tua said he was going to go back and play again, right? He was like, nope, I'm sitting out the required time until I pass concussion protocol. And as soon as I do, I'm coming back. Doctors say I can. And at that point, the Dolphins were going to have to pay him. Now, if he had said, that's one too many concussions, I don't feel like I can chance it anymore. I've had too many of these. And even though concussion protocol says that I can sit out for however many weeks it is, and then I pass a battery of tests, and if I pass those tests, I can play again. Even if that's the case, I've decided I'm not going to do that. Well, at that point, they would not owe him the rest of that contract. Now, they would negotiate a settlement is what they would do. They would say they would do the right thing in that case. It's a little bit different deal. He got hurt playing hard for them, working, for the Dolphins. They would go to him and say, look, we're on the hook to the tune of $100+ million. You don't want to play, but you are going to be cleared in a few weeks. And if you don't play, we technically don't owe you but 60% of the money. But we don't want that look, because then no player's ever going to come here. So we will sit down with you. Can we agree on a number? We currently owe you whatever it was, $250 million. How about we give you 90 and you walk away happy forever, $90 million richer, and we both part. But it's very different when it's Deshaun Watson and you have the legal issues and then he gets hurt and you're like, okay, well, what are our options? I'm not inclined to work a deal with Deshaun here. I'm not inclined to help out with Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah, correct. And it didn't seem like he was beloved by the locker room either. I know that Jameis put on a brave face, but.
Well, Jameis, I think he made a mistake there, and I don't want to get into that, but you don't have to rise up for Deshaun. You don't. You don't.
Kind of an interesting spot there, Jameis.
Yeah, that's a toughie. Let's yeah, that's not what you do. That said, anyhow, yes, I saw that news come down the pike, and I thought, wow, burst again. Now, just removing all the clutter from the conversation. Good God, man. Can you imagine you're rehabbing from that injury and you do it again?
I hope
that's
it happens.
my greatest. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I hope it happens again. Everybody can throw a hat at him. A little hat trick. Hat trick for the Achilles ruptures.
He's going to rupture his Achilles in perpetuity,
That's
much
it.
like go into massage parlor after massage parlor after massage parlor.
They'll call him Watsonius. He can be with Tantalus and Sisyphus. He's repairing his Achilles, and then bam, it goes down again.
I never hurt my Achilles in any way in any sport that I ever played at any level. And I say that and then knock on wood, right? It never happened while I played sports. But I've seen it happen. And I never used to, like, some injuries. I don't know, Tom, did you have an injury that you would think about trying to avoid, or things that would scare you? Like you thought, oh, if that ever happened to me, I don't know. Like a broken femur. You know?
I saw the worst. It still bugs me to this day. It was at recess. I was 9-10 years old, and it was the little brother of a friend of mine in my class. The school was so small. It was 30 kids to a class, so you kind of know everybody. His little brother somehow, and you're going to cringe, he falls in a strange way and lands in a certain part of the midsection that he had severely twisted some things.
Ooh.
He had severely twisted some things.
Nope.
While hitting his head as well. And the wailing that I heard from this younger brother of a friend of mine is something that stays with me to this day, because it was surgically necessary, it was necessary to surgically repair the twisting that was done to the wiring down there. So, yes, that's the injury. If you're asking a question, I've got one for you, and there it is.
Well, I was at a soccer game many, many moons ago watching my brother play, and I'll never forget, if you're out there, Steve Shiflett. That's his name, Steve Shiflett. My mom, who will be coming on here in about 15 minutes, will remember this. Compound fracture of his leg, and just brutal. There's, you can't imagine. Like, I was horrified by, and those of you of a certain age will remember it like it was yesterday. I was in my room pretending to do play-by-play for Monday Night Football when Theismann got his leg snapped. Lawrence Taylor and the Giants. And we see the leg snap and bitten end over, and you see the bone shoot. You can't see it come out because it's underneath the sock, but you see the sock shoot out, and you see all the players jump up immediately. And I was pretending to do play-by-play in my room. There's a little television, a little tape recorder. And I remember not being able to continue to describe it. I was shocked. It was a lesson in that you cannot, if you're a play-by-play announcer, you can't stop talking just because you're mortified. But if you're in your room pretending to be a play-by-play announcer, you can absolutely cut the tape and stop talking.
Yeah. Well, and if you saw because Kurt has the medical terminology in the chat of what I saw, torsion is going to be the word that you use. You would stop. You would stop. You would fall to your knees and just watch, because what ends up happening is you need immediate surgery to restore blood flow and reduce the pain. So
no, that's not good. That's not good at all.
Adrian Beltre knows somewhat of this pain, but he doesn't know that kind of pain.
Yeah. Well, I saw Charles Johnson catching, before he was with the Marlins, he was with the Orioles. Foul ball behind the plate, off the plate, straight back into the boys. Knocked him out. They had to take him to the hospital. It knocked him out. Imagine taking a foul ball off of a cup. He's wearing a cup.
Oh, yeah.
That it rattles the boys so bad you get knocked out. I was sitting there in attendance. You could see it like it was yesterday. Just pop. Oh, no.
I feel like that is actually a better way to use the term "you get your bell rung," rather than hitting your head. I think that's actually more accurate.
Yeah, that was a ringing of the bell. All right.
Ringing the bell.
Brutal. We'll pick with my mom coming up next. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
One of the good things about actually eating Factor at my house, the Cameron household, me, my kids, my wife, we order Factor long before they ever came on here to be a sponsor of the pod or the show. But I was reading the copy, and they say to you, it's just a suggestion. You can look at it a lot of different ways. But this one leads with weather pairs perfectly with savory fall foods. And I thought that's true. It does. It's not what I'm going to talk about, but that's a great, comforting way to think about Factor. It's beautiful. Here's the other thing to think about Factor is that the food is delicious, prepared by chefs, and it's healthy, and it comes right to your doorstep, and you're busy. You don't have time to cook all these different delicious meals. Either do I. That's why I get 12 of them shipped to my house. Now, you can have more than that. I do 12. Brought to your doorstep, pulled from the box that they come in, frozen ice. You put that sucker right, frozen ice, listen to me. Put them in the fridge, you're good to go. Kids just pull them out. 2 minutes later, you're eating a delicious meal. And it's any kind of diet, too. It could be keto, it could be just calorie-friendly, whatever it might be. You could be a vegetarian, pescatarian, doesn't really matter. Factor has delicious meals for you and yours, no matter the lifestyle or the food choices. Head to factormeals.com/Cameron50. Use code Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Cameron50 at factormeals.com/Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Libations Friday rolls on, and it wouldn't be a complete Libations Friday if we didn't have an opportunity to make these picks against my mom. Lord knows she has to look forward to each week because it's been a drubbing for 2 years. It has been a wholly successful defense so far this year of a championship won just a season ago by Mom. And now I am left up against it. I need her to just somehow get amnesia, not remember who plays for who, decide to make random crazy picks or something that doesn't seem logical at all, because I don't think if she picks reasonably well that I have a chance to catch up. Tom, if you would, cue it up, good sir.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room! Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
And we will take it away. And Mom joins us as she always does. Hello, Mother. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. We're having weird technical problems on the radio side today, so this worked out better where you're able to join us via video. Plus, I get to see your smiling face.
Yes, you do. And I get to see yours.
Yeah. All right. So I have zero idea how we did against each other last week.
I got 2 out of 3. So I was 9 up. I think I'm 8 up now.
Oh, wait. You won 2 out of 3? Or no, if you won 2 out of 3, then you're up 10.
Oh, Yes, I did get 2 out of. Oh, okay. I thought I lost. Okay, we had 3 different, and
No, I'm asking you. No, you're up 8, Mom. You're up 8. You didn't win 2 out of 3. I won 2 out of 3 last week.
okay. Well, see, I had 9, so that's what I'm saying. Now I have 8.
Yeah. So it's 8. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I thought I knew I had 8, but I wasn't quite sure how I got there.
I cut it by 1. So now I got to cut it by more than 1 this week because chipping away 1 at a time isn't going to get it done at this late date.
I know.
You excited about the Bucks?
It gets harder now because, you kind of, there's not that many games and you sort of have to pick who you have to pick, I mean.
Oh, I'm screwed. Yeah, no.
It's very hard because, I don't like these things with odds, like now we're doing this playoff pool, our family thing. And I don't do very good with those because I just pick who I pick. And then I don't realize, if the other team wins by 5, then I'm going to lose the game. I don't like
no. So you don't like betting the spread, which is much more difficult.
Yeah, no, I don't. Because I have a hard enough time doing it the way I do it.
Well, why don't we start with tomorrow's game? It's at 4:30. It's the Chargers taking on Houston, taking on the Texans. The Chargers are actually a road favorite, just along the odds that you were talking about. Who you got in this game?
I do have the Chargers.
Me too. Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Denver at Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Green Bay at Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's kind of my first hard one. And at first I wasn't sure if Jalen Hurts was playing, but then I think he is. Is he not?
He's definitely playing.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Philadelphia.
Washington and Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
And finally, Minnesota at the Los Angeles Rams, which is going to be played in Arizona.
I know. God, what a tragedy. It's just horrible, that whole thing. I took Minnesota. I think that's going to be a good one, too.
Well, we have the exact same game, so I cannot get you at all. I had a suspicion that's exactly what would happen. I have to try to knock you off in the pool that does use the point spread. That's the only way I'm going to get some revenge against you.
I know, but how about your mother winning that pool for the regular season?
Yeah, I should note, Tom and the rest of our audience, Mom is in a pool that I'm also in. It's a family pool, and there are friends, and it's friends and family. And a lot of people are in it. It's a fairly sizable pool. And my mom won the whole damn thing. She is on fire.
Listen, by the way, I'm the only woman in the pool.
Yes, that's right. Back in the day, Nanny used to be in the pool and would pick people based on their colored uniforms, the green or the red or the blue. Yes, that's what she would do. Like, I love these uniforms. I'll pick them. No, you were the only woman. You're the only woman in the pool, and you won the pool. And most of us men just kind of shrink off and don't talk about it very much. It's very, very impressive.
I'm really proud of myself, I have to say.
Oh, Tom just told you that's it. I can't catch you because we have the exact same games. Look down there at the screen, Mom. You officially defended your title.
I probably need to put my glasses on. Is that right? Oh my God. I'm telling you, it's been a year.
Yeah, you've been on a roll. You've been on a roll.
I don't know what happened to me. I just, all of a sudden, I got clarity.
You should have taken it to Vegas, Mom, with all that clarity.
I know. I should have. I know it. I'm telling you what. Well, I guess I got lucky this year. I don't know. Next year, I'll probably get trounced. You'll be so PO'd at me that
I could be as angry as I want to be. It doesn't seem to have an influence. I didn't much like losing last year, believe me. So I thought I'd come back strong this year, and I got trounced. But it does make me feel better that you didn't just beat me. You beat everybody that I know in the pool. So there you go.
I'm telling you what, I know it. And you're one of your brother's really good friends, Andrew Sapienza. He was all about it. And he's won, I don't know if he won 2 years in a row, but he was all ready to do me in. And he didn't.
No, he can go to hell. He did not.
It's so fun. I'm telling you, I had a good time, and I am definitely not too scientific about the whole thing. I'm not as bad as Nanny used to be with the color of the uniforms, or she liked the
Right.
quarterback. But I don't get into all of the I
Well,
don't
you
like the odds. I know
Yeah,
quite a bit about football now. I'm not trying to downplay that. I think, especially for a mom, I think I do. But I don't get into all of the how many times has this team beat that team and da 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 da. All of that.
it served you well, Mother, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. What last question?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to even watch the Bucks game?
Oh, that's the only part about them winning, is that then I have to keep getting nervous and everything. I will watch it, but I flip off and on. I can't watch it steadily. I have to I watch it when they got the ball, and then I turn off, and then I come back, and then if they do something bad, I don't watch, and I don't know. It's kind of a convoluted way that I watch them. And I run from room to room, from the kitchen to the family room and back. That last couple of minutes of the game last week, oh my Lord, I was having a nervous breakdown.
I pictured you unable to watch or hiding behind like a pillow or something, looking over and then going into the other. Yeah.
I do that. And then I was so afraid when we got the ball back. I thought, now wouldn't that be just like us to fumble or throw an interception or something and let them run down and score? And when he threw that ball to Mike, I was like, oh my God, please catch it. And
No, he
that
caught
was
it rather easily.
That was very, let me just say that just real quick. I really thought that was very classy of the Bucks to do what they did. And I mean, obviously it was going to cost them $3 million. Unlike what happened in Dallas, or there was another team.
Yeah, they screwed their quarterback over. Yes.
Yes, and you know what? That's a shame. That is not right. So I'm very proud of our Bucks.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd have nothing to do with Dallas ever again. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean that's crazy. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would tell you to kiss my what on Main Street.
Bye, Mom. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye. Everybody have a good weekend. Go Bucks.
Congratulations. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. I should have asked her. You're right. I should have asked her about the injury. Yeah, Steve Shiflett. Brutal. Broke his compound fracture, broke his leg. Hideous. I never want to see that again. Not in person, anyhow. You can see it at a distance. It happens in sporting events, and we all shudder, and we all can remember where we were when we've seen it, certain players. But if you're ever in person to see somebody suffer a compound fracture, it is very loud, and it is unsettling, to say the least. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Something to make mention of, and I haven't yet. First of all, congratulations to my mother. Secondly, we didn't talk about it yet because I'm not overly concerned. I wonder if others are. Listen, I think very highly of his skill set when he's right, but he has shown a propensity to have stretches where he plays very poorly. So I don't know how to feel about this. Secondly, the defense is the real problem in Miami, and that's the precursor to me mentioning that Georgia transfer quarterback Carson Beck is committed to Miami. He posted on Instagram, did Carson, and he's expected to go down to Miami this weekend. As I understand it, he dates one of these 2 twins that are fairly famous on the basketball team. I had no idea. I don't follow that stuff. I mean, I don't even mean that like the typical old guy who's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about these 2 chicks on the basketball team, but I think they're twins, and he dates one of them.
I haven't been on Twitter in years. I deleted Twitter years ago. My son or my buddy. You notice it was really cool because apparently Kirk's son or his buddy was on the bus leaving Miami at 4 a.m. this morning, and they're on their way to go to the next game. Because it said, I'm on my way, is what the account said today. Oh, well, I guess Kirk's son is along for the ride. That's pretty cool. Good for him.
Well, what he should have said regarding that in any future tweets is that he has a team of people that outdoes it. That's all you do. That's what a lot of people do who are as big as he is you have a team of people who do it for you and who aren't as invested in the vitriolic response you get each time you post. You know what I mean? It's not coming back to you and hitting you in the cockles. It's just some dude that works for you who's 21 and gets how social media is and ignores it completely because they're not you. That's how it works. That's what you do. But that said, Carson back to Miami. Let's talk about it. Bother you?
Well,
you upset about it?
Look, the game just got harder. The heads-up matchup, it just got more difficult. He'll be coming to town this year. Will Beck?
Looking forward to that game.
I would prefer all of my opponents are terrible. I'd like to be the Indiana fraud in the playoff field next year. And this just got a little bit more difficult to pull that off. My first thought actually was about opening weekend. We all know who we play opening weekend. Do you know who Miami has to start next season?
Is it Florida again?
Notre Dame. They could potentially have Quinn Ewers and Notre Dame going down to Hard Rock Stadium to take on Beck and Miami, which would be one heck of an opening weekend game to pair with Florida State and Alabama. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like when my opponents improve. And this is most definitely an improvement over Emory Williams, which is the holdover that they had.
Well, but I don't think they were going to ride with Emory Williams. I think we knew that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I am kind of curious. So last year, obviously, they begin the season by throttling Florida 41-17. Next year, as you say, they have Notre Dame to start, which will be fun. I mean, listen, we brought this up earlier. How lucky are we that we're getting some of these? Texas and Ohio State play next year in one of the opening games as well, and we play Alabama. If you're a college football fan, man, those are 3 really cool games out the gates, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's their big game next year. If you look at their conference schedule, and I'm going to do it rapid fire, they play, obviously, us. But Louisville, NC State, Stanford, Syracuse, at Pitt, at SMU, at Virginia Tech. I mean, they should be – I know they should have been there this year, but they really should be in Charlotte next year. If they don't, my God, sirs.
Well, they should have been this year, Tom. They had one of the best quarterbacks in football. I mean, that's I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find, Tom, while we're talking. It's not good radio, but we're not on the radio, so I don't care. I'm trying to find their future schedules. I was looking for not just that next year. I was trying to see how many of these interesting first matchups they have. But yeah, you're right. 2025, Notre Dame to start the year at the Hard Rock. Never know about USF, Tom.
Yeah,
but they do play. They do play Florida next year. They do play SMU on the road.
They do, yeah, and they've got. I mean, Syracuse, is McCord coming back? I don't know.
Nope. Just declared.
Oh, well, then he would be a sneaky good pick in the first round of the NFL draft, late first round for McCord. But they do play in 2026. Miami goes on the road and plays South Carolina to open the season. This is weird.
Yeah, they got Notre Dame for their schedule. Just for giggles here, everybody. It actually is not that easy of a schedule next year. You're on the road at SMU. You're also at Pitt. We'll see what they are. That's always kind of like, You're at Florida State, presuming we're much better. You do play Notre Dame. You do have, as you said, Syracuse, whom they just lost to this past year. They're at Virginia Tech, which, again, you don't know, Virginia Tech's kind of iffy. So, yeah, there's some formidable there. There's a little bit of formidable there. We'll see what Notre Dame is. I don't know we don't know who their quarterback's going to be, if it's going to be Brock Ewers or who it's going to be. So that would be a hell of a matchup. You're right. Listen, I think Carson Beck is a very good quarterback when he's right. I said that before the year began. I hated probably 4 games in to him being named the starter. When he took over the reins at Georgia, I saw NFL throws left and right. And I remember coming in here going, damn it, they just got better at quarterback. Look at this. This is unbelievable. This guy is an NFL player. He was making tight window throws. He was making anticipatory throws. He was getting to his 3rd and 4th read. He was running a professional offense, and I thought, this ain't good. We're going to have problems. Georgia's going to be riding high forever. But the sport is played by human beings, and they have ups and downs, and it affects them in certain ways. And with Carson, he was odd. He could be electrifying. He could make all the throws, and then the next game, he might be the reason they lose. It was very strange. So you got to hope that he is still that kind of uneven in next year. If not, if he maximizes his skill set and the tools that he has, then we're all in trouble because he'll light it up.
Well, and you just wonder about, the contagiousness of when you make a move like this and, you have a secondary portal window for either playoff teams or spring teams. That's how you can build an offense. Now, that's not, like you said at the outset, that's not their problem. They got to be competent on defense. And if they are, then this past team would have gone to Charlotte. And this past team probably was in the college football playoff. By making it to Charlotte, they probably would have gone to the college football playoff. So that's what they have in front of them. But Tony's comment is correct. It's all about the UCL tear. That was repaired surgically on December 23rd. In his throwing arm, the ulnar collateral ligament tear was repaired. We'll see. Is he damaged goods? Because if he isn't, he's going to perform. I know that there are ups and downs, but they just got a whole hell of a lot better if he's healthy. If he's not, though, then he could have just made a whole lot of money off of Miami to be a pop gun arm Drew Brees.
What it tells you is exactly what we've known and we've had discussions about in the past. It tells you that the NFL told him no. The NFL said, hey, man, you'll get drafted, but you're not getting drafted where you think you're getting drafted. You're not getting drafted where it would be worth you coming out. You can get $5 to $7 million from somebody in college that's going to take a chance on you because your very best is very, very good. And they'll be willing to take that risk. Get you the money, because if it's not right, first of all, NFL teams, you know how they prod and poke and do the things that they do regarding injuries. I mean, it is a cattle show at the combine. It's crazy. I mean, they probe and they push and they do all of the things. If you got anything wrong at all, they're going to find it. So you get to hide for a year, you get to get stronger for a year, and you get to get paid handsomely for a year. And it tells me that they told him he was getting drafted on Saturday. That's what it tells me. And otherwise, you would start your pro career. You wouldn't bother. You would go and you'd get your first round money. You'd be guaranteed to be rich for the rest of your life. You'd be set. So he's getting paid.
Well, and this is where Tony's response again. He's saying, "I watched Purdy all year after the UCL tear, and he wasn't the same." Even if you know that you're not going to be at 100%, it's still smart because you can work through it. From the NFL's perspective, if you're not even looking at the destination of Miami, you're just saying, when I go work out for teams, I want to work out for them in 2026, and I could have bad film on tape, but I can tell them that was all part of my rehab process. I'm now 12 months in, 15 months into my rehab for his pro day in 2026. And then he lights it up and they say, oh, his arm does look alive. Well, and if you compare that with his with his film when he was back in Georgia as a fully healthy player, you could see where he bumps up. Like, this is a very smart long-term play. The Kane fan, CF Kane fan in the chat says he got $4 million to come to the Canes. I believe that number has to be somewhere close to accurate, because if you're talking about 6-7 million for Ewers to go to Notre Dame, then the going rate for a lot of quarterbacks, according to On3, is $1 million just to start at a power institution, and you don't have to be good. I can see where you get $4 million to rehab. If you're good, so be it. If you're not, you don't waste your one crack at getting drafted up high and playing before scouts at a pro day setting.
Yeah, man, I don't begrudge any of it. I think it's smart for Miami to do it. I think it's smart for him to do it. Obviously, health is going to be the key factor in all of this. So the way I view teams on our schedule and the moves that they make, either through NIL or transfer portal, things that you read about a player coming over from somewhere, I don't really get bogged down in the money unless it's a high-profile player like this. It's interesting to see what other squads are willing to spend at key positions. Admittedly, that's all part of the process, and you do want to kind of see where we're at compared to where they're at, those kinds of things. But the way I view any of this, whether this could be SMU, this could be Clemson, this could be whomever in the ACC that is on our schedule, until we're viable again, until we matter again, until we bounce back from this depths of hell that we found ourselves in this year, I don't concern myself with it. I concern myself with what we're doing. And I don't say that to deflect from disappointing news that Miami just got better. They did. They were much better than we were this year, and they proved it in the game when we went down there, and that game ended up being closer than they would have liked it to be. But we were never really going to win that game. I think that was self-evident. But we were so bad that I concern more about what we bring in and how much better we're going to be. And then when you feel like you're somewhere close to even footing, then the big names that come and go at key positions really do kind of push you over the edge in terms of the good or the bad. When you go free agent shopping, as we should call it these days, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's, that right now, get back to winning 8-9 games and get yourself in a position to matter where maybe a singular player is truly going to make the difference between whether or not you go to the ACC championship game or they do. We were so many players off last year that I can't get worried about it. I just can't.
Yeah, we've got our own problems. That's the way you look at it is, man, I don't like, you're asking specifically, do I like if Beck goes to Miami? No, I don't like when our opponents and our rivals improve, but they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us. And right now we need to win the games we're supposed to win. That's the thing I love so much about the PFF grades, limited as they are. But when you take a look, you see a trend and a through line for all of Florida State's offensive linemen that came in. Every single one. Gunnar Hansen, Micah Pettis, and the two guys in between. When they played teams that were like competition or worse competition, they owned those games. They were all good against teams they should beat. And Florida State was not that last year. It is the antithesis of what we were. Teams that we had more talent than, we played down to or didn't care to play against. So it's nice to see that you're bringing in guys that can produce against teams that they should produce against. You need a whole bunch of those dudes to start getting antsy about the matchup with Miami and say, well, we could win this and maybe go to Charlotte. We're not there yet, but we're building towards that place. Meanwhile, they're in a different place where it's playoffs or bust because they were one of the biggest disappointments in college football this season. Period. Across the country. USC, not Michigan because they're coming off of a title even though they lost a bunch of games, but USC and Miami. 2, maybe LSU thrown in there. 3 giant disappointments relative to expectations.
Florida State probably tops the list, though, Tom.
Perhaps, but I would say with all the NFL talent that we had lost, nationally speaking, if I did a show in Lincoln, Nebraska, I might list Miami and USC and Oklahoma and Ole Miss and LSU ahead of Florida State.
You might. But you might also note that a traditional power that just went undefeated in the regular season and took home the conference championship followed it up by going 2-10. You might bring that up.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty quickly.
It's in its own category, but relative to playoff odds and expectations, yeah, I hear you.
Well, hey, listen, in terms of the money spent, there is that. There is the old, they anteed up to bring in Ward. That roster wasn't cheap, and obviously they've never won the ACC ever. They've only played for the title one time. That game wasn't close. They didn't give the chance to even play for the title this year after ponying up all that money. They also didn't end their bowl losing streak, so they accomplished virtually nothing. I mean, there is that. There is that for the money, virtually nothing.
Well, yeah, if it's a zero-sum game, we both came away with a 0.
Right.
You know, they were just more entertained. They were just more entertained during the season. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And they won 10 games. And that is the counter to that, is that it's not a zero-sum game, and seasons matter and the games matter. And yeah, look, they had some bitter disappointments. I think if I were a Miami fan and being honest with myself, I would be pissed that our defense was that bad that we didn't even get to the ACC championship game. I'd be livid. I wouldn't be satisfied with 10 wins given what they just spent and who they brought in and the quarterback that they had and the numbers they were putting up on offense. And now what they are losing. Yeah, I'd be livid. And in fact, today I'd be like, oh, good. We got Carson Beck. Are we going to stop anybody? Can we stop somebody, please?
Exactly. This was we had this season in reverse in 2015. That defense was outstanding in 2015. And we played the Everett Golson, Sean McGuire shuffle. Back and forth, shuffling to the right, shuffling to the left. Can we score 27? No, not in a game that matters. No.
All right, kids, I'm going to take liberty on a day in which we have no radio feed or whatsoever, and I'm going to sign off. You're going to get a third hour that is released independently.
It's being released to the pod feeds right now. It's being released to the pod feeds as we speak. So that'll be the first pod that's up as the bonus hour of new content that you won't be getting right here on the YouTube feed.
Yeah, but one thing I do want to say is I've got it in order, and I think, Tom, that what I'm going to be able to do when I get home here in a few minutes is I will line up my Rocket Money situation. And I'm going to do this because I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this. I think I have 12 things that I need to address.
12?
Well, I thought about 4 other things. When you signed up with our friends at Rocket Money,
yeah,
obviously you need anything you use to pay for subscriptions you might have. So that would be your bank or your credit cards, right?
Correct.
I thought of a credit card that I seldomly use and keep the balance low on, but remembered that I might have a subscription that I do not need, and it's going to come up. It's going to come up. Rocket's going to be like, hey, guys, you remember this one? Oh, man, I've had that for 8 years. I don't even use that.
That's a good point. One of my credit cards has the membership fee, and I don't use it for anything else. I use it as a travel card because of the travel flight points, Sky Miles incentives. But I don't have it on auto pay. And so once a year, I either am late or I panic and I go, oh my God, when's that $99 charge? But if you put it on Rocket Money, it's going to tell you. It's like, oh, it's like next Tuesday, pal. You're good job thinking about it, but we know when it is. You want to pay that thing? Yeah, okay, good call.
Well, it gives you alerts if your bills increase, if there's spending activity. It'll tell you, that it sets up like if you have goals, you can, put that in and it'll keep a balance to let you know where you're at. And, it can even negotiate lower bills for you. But I'm going to find all this out now that I've got it in proper working order. I'm going to learn as Tom did. You can too. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. And here's my favorite one. rocketmoney.com/gameon. There it is. Now we're done. Good work out of you, Tommy. Good work, everybody. That third hour is being released separately. It'll be up right now. Have a great weekend. I'm going to the Bucs game Sunday. Wish me luck. And I will see you guys on Monday. That's the kind of dedication. We're driving back first thing in the morning with a glow of victory in the car while I listen to music and think about what a good time that was. Take care, everybody. Peace.